Hello, and welcome to Pat O'Keefe's World of Curiosities. And we have something special that we're going to be doing. It is a new show, I should say a new feature within the show. And the title of it is Zeea and Pat's Witchy Wisdom. And for those of you that remember Zeea, she is Zeea Darling. She is from North Carolina. She's definitely an Appalachian witch. And I'm thrilled to be doing this with her. Zeea, I reckon tonight we've got some things going on in the community and at large. We're going to be going over this new thing. It's called Appalachian Hair texture, which I think is really interesting. And people might want to hear what we have to say about that because both of us are Appalachian. And then we're going to look at a spell and give our 2 cents, if you will, about this particular spell. And we're going to take a look at Appalachians Mulungeons. They are the mysterious tribe of Appalachia. And then we're going to end up with Pickens, South Carolina, because there's some activity out there that's got the witchy community a little upset. So let's start with the Appalachian hair texture. What's going on with that, Zeea?
Well, it's become a little bit of a trend on TikTok, and I always find it fun and interesting, and I think that it's helping people kind of learn what their heritage is and their background, and they want to learn more. And I guess really, judging by the videos, there's not one particular way that the Appalachian hair looks, but a lot of the time it might be more thicker or coarse or have a curly, wavy texture to it, and sometimes darker hair color.
Yeah, I like this. It's saying that, if you have hair that's got different texture within the hair, say, for instance, mine is straight on top, but it's really curly underneath. And it's really interesting when I put my hair up, I've got all these curls underneath and it's just straight on top. But
yeah, I think we've got Fred said it had like maybe behind the ear a little bit more coarse or curly texture. Mine personally, I just have really dark hair, almost black, where you can't even hardly bleach it. Like I'm getting ready to cover up that because it can't get any lighter. I was wanting it to match my gray hairs. And I just have 2 hair swirls that makes my hair want to go like this and do a mohawk. So I have some interesting things going on with that. And I have a natural wave to my hair. Like when it's wet, it'll do a little wave and holds curl really well.
Well, we wanted to share with our audience a short clip from TikTok, and this is a lady. She's a beautiful young woman. She talks about what Appalachian hair is. The tide is high, but I'm holding on. I'm gonna be on #1. All righty. So if you'll notice, her hair was straighter on the bottom and a bit more curly on top. So that's what it is, frizzy hair that's out of control. And I do have to say that we have another clip, but first I want to get your input on what you just saw, Zeea.
Yeah, she has beautiful hair. And if that's just her natural where she doesn't do anything to it, that's a really nice texture. I like it.
Me too. And here's a lady, and we're going to talk about this because what she's saying, well, I'll let her tell the tale. Here it is.
I've seen all y'all posting about this Appalachian hair. And if you've done any research on it, you're starting to realize that hair texture comes from being Mulungeon. Now, what is Mulungeon? I've done several videos with this picture before, and this is a Mulungeon woman from 1929, and I think she might be a relative.
Wow. I saw that too. I was like, I cannot believe how much that looked like her. I'm like, that has to be your relative, like for real. I don't know, but yeah, Mulungeon, interesting mixture of people like in our backgrounds. In many people's backgrounds in Appalachia. So I think what it was triracial, right? You've got the African, and then you have like white Celtic backgrounds, and then Native, and then it could be other stuff too, other different backgrounds as well.
Yeah, and in fact, I want to share photographs so you can see they're a beautiful people. But what made them unique is that you would find in families, you might see someone with light hair, blue eyes, and then someone with dark skin or olive skin and darker eyes. And that's only one thing that you might see. And it's really interesting because when you look at the physical traits, she's saying that it comes back to Mulungeon. But when you look at overall the physical traits, many of them had straight hair, but not all. If you'll notice right here, this little guy right here has beautiful curly hair. And he has straight hair. Again, that's one of the signs of a Mulungeon family is that they have all of these different characteristics.
Yeah, it's just cool how like there's so many different mixtures and ethnicities and many people's backgrounds in Appalachia. We really are like a melting pot because of all the different people that immigrated over. And you know, we're sadly like indentured servants and stuff to get their fare on the boat, you know, that was what they had to do is be servants after they came over.
And what's interesting too, and you're right, indentured servants, we forget that they actually put themselves into physical labor for 7 years just to be able to cross from the Celtic Isles to here and from other parts of Europe also. But one of the other things that I found interesting when I started reading about physical characteristics is there's something called the Mulungeon bump.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if you look right above the neck, right there, there's supposed to be a bump or a ridge that's very, very common to the Mulungeons.
Yeah, and there was other things like shovel teeth. It was like the shape of the tooth, and I think something about under the tongue there was something bones, but also I want to say like Mulungeon, that's been trending for a couple years now. I feel like people are finding out about their heritages, and I think that's really cool. And another thing is Black Dutch is another term, but also I want to say Mulungeons, another backgrounds they could have, like people are talking about they could be Portuguese, and then they have the Black Dutch, which that's what my mama says, that some of her family was Black Dutch, but it's not completely, like, it's not completely clear what exactly that is, but I've read things that it's from Romani descent, you know, the Gypsy, Binti people that came over with the Germans, so the German Gypsies. I'm saying this because I'm not meaning if any, some people say today that's a slur, so I'm not trying to say, anything out of the way. I'm just saying that's what we had known them as. But so, I don't entirely know what my total background is, but I think there's some different things there. But yeah.
Well, whether it's Black Dutch or the Mulungeons, they were terms that were used to denigrate someone.
Yeah.
And, it was like throwing a slur at someone to say, you remind me of a Mulungeon. And it's really interesting, too, that even though, a lot of people say, European, African, and Native American, there are some that say that they were Indians, as in East Indian. And when you look at some of the features, it does make one wonder, does it not?
Yeah, I think that's kind of maybe what my heritage is actually, but yeah, I don't really know for sure. Like I said, I'd have to get a DNA test, and it really don't exactly matter what our ancestors were, but at the same time, we want to know about our heritage and learn about our families, and then we can also learn about like some of the magical traditions, and that's what forms the Appalachian folk magic traditions, is all these different cultures meshing and melding together. And we learned about their superstitions or the way they used to do stuff, and their magic charms on how they would do things for protection and so on.
Yeah, and of course, everyone has their own magic, their own traditions, their own cultures, no matter where you're from. So we're going to leave the Mulungeons behind, and we are going to go to the present. And this Zeea found on, was it TikTok, Zeea?
Yeah.
The spell. So we're gonna share the spell that's being done, and then we're going to discuss it. So let's let y'all listen to it.
Wow. Look at the red color. The way the entire candles are melting entirely right now. I've never seen a candle do that before.
Yours survived.
The way he's still burning to nothing. The candle looks so cool right now.
It's gonna be so hard to clean this plate.
I'm so sorry.
He died!
So Zeea, what do you think?
Well, I have a few different things I could say about it, but I feel like they were quite young people doing this. But First of all, it's a fire hazard. Always, fire safety. You can do your spells outside, And another thing is, like, I felt like the presence of other people around could mess with the outcome of your spell. You need to be putting your full intent and energy on that yourself and focusing, because you don't want other people's influence there. And also, it's my belief that you should not be filming, any of your spells, because people can, it's kind of like not really necessarily the evil eye, but they can see that and their energies affect your outcome of the spell.
Yeah, there's cultures that really believe that if their image is on camera in any way, that you have stolen their soul. And so, to put your intent, to put what you intended to do and make it public, you're right. Most spell work is done like most prayer, and that is by yourself, and where it's a connection between you and divine force. What I found interesting is how fast they were burning. So I'm wondering if they anointed the candles with oil because they really were going up, very, very quickly,
Yeah.
especially the one.
They done something, which, yeah, and I don't know if you heard the last part of it, but she said something like, I don't want him to drop dead. What if he's dead? Because the candle's dead. So you never know. I mean, now you got to be focusing your intent on what you want the outcome to be.
Well, what was your opinion as far as the results? What can she expect from your viewpoint?
I expect it not to work, that she's going to have to do that again if she's trying to, because what it looked like she was trying to do a cord cutting spell.
Mm-hmm.
And those have become more known and a popular thing.
I think, honestly, that if she breaks up with him, that he's going to have a meltdown. Okay, it's going to affect him, but he's going to be gone. That's the thing. Not gone as in health gone as in adios. So to me, this represents a man who is very emotional initially, and then they get very cold and move quicker than she can imagine. So
that could be it. She might be putting too much thought into him.
Mm-hmm.
Better off either.
And now we went over the Mulungeons, we looked at the spell, and we talked about that Appalachian hair. And I got to say one thing about the Appalachian hair before we go. I have hair just like this, and my DNA ancestry is nothing but the British Isles, France, Germany, Norway, and Denmark. Yeah. That's it. So
yeah, that's true. Different people can have different hair textures, which is what other people were bringing up. Mm-hmm. That anybody can have different hair textures.
Absolutely. And when I was doing my research, a lot of Scots people from Scotland were saying, we have a lot of people around here with that kind of hair. And that makes sense because I have a substantial amount of Scots blood. So maybe I got it from there. All right. There's some brouhaha going on, Zeea, down in Pickens, South Carolina. So tell people what's going on.
Well, it's interesting how fast word can spread online, but I had seen some posts in some witchy connections and circles talking about how over there was some, I guess, disagreements, arguments, heated interactions. But also I think that there was some misinformation there as well, because I couldn't verify other things that people had said that happened that would seem actually violent and negative. So there seems to be like there were some bad actors also making things up. So we always have to seek out the truth at the source, look up and try to find from the source the real truth and answers of things. But basically what was going on is they have like a community center, like a market space where people can set up and sell their wares and have events there. And there's also a church that held their services there. And so this group was called, I think it was the Broom Closet, the Witches Broom Closet or something like that. And they're just an organization that has like witchy themed events and invites people from all over to come join them and sell their stuff there too. But I didn't in the chair.
That will be cut.
Okay. Apparently that this church had their services at this same location, and they had got word online about this witchy market So they were concerned and they went there and I guess were preaching outside of the place. I don't exactly know, the details. I wasn't there, but they apparently came in and started preaching. I had heard that they were reciting, they'll not suffer a witch to live. I don't know if that was true or not. Other people say that wasn't, but what ended up happening is the people that had this faith, they, I think, banned them from there. So they were upset because they couldn't hold their church services there anymore. And so then they were upset with the people for kind of like siding with the witches over the Christians. But the people that owned the establishment, they were basically saying that they, are, what am I trying to say? They were open to different ways, people and their different views, and so that they weren't against that. People were allowed to do whatever they wanted there if they weren't hurting anyone. And yeah, there's a little bit of that too, but that's the start of it.
And I really do like the facilities manager, and I can't remember his name, but he came out and he started, his explanation by saying that he was a Christian, but saying that everyone was welcome there and that they hosted all of these events, and that the people with the witches, with that event, witches brew closet, was it?
Yeah.
I can't remember, but that they were very nice, and he actually invited these people in if they wanted to come and see the people. And I guess they were able to kind of, bring the temperature down. But there, like you said, there is some reports of people being followed and cornered, and the people screaming in their faces that they're going to hell, and all of this sort of thing. So right now, I will tell you, I think it's wonderful that the community seem to be behind and by community, the people that held this or that owned this market supported and said they weren't doing anything wrong, and that not everybody thinks the same way. They don't worship the same way. And even though he's a Christian, and he was very careful to reiterate that because it's important to him. Your spiritual path always is, so great respect to him. But that we have to tolerate others. And if we don't want to tolerate others, then maybe we just need to stay away from particular events.
Yeah, and the church group was actually saying, kind of playing victim in the situation and saying, that they should be allowed to still go there, which if it's, that public place, the people that owns it are allowed to say what they want to do with it, and, they can get their own church and then they can do whatever they want there, By the way,
Yeah.
I'm still hearing some background noises, like, just saying.
That's okay. Yeah, anything that's out of the way we'll take out, like what I'm saying right now. But yeah, let's end on this note, and that is that there are always going to be people that think that their way is the only way, and they will think that by tearing others down or hurting others is a way to get closer to divine force, to God. And I'm gonna leave us with just a little bit. A person who is a pastor. He's not far from where we live, and his name is Pastor Greg Block. So let me just play this for you, because there's always going to be people like this, and we have to understand that, and we have to maybe not tolerate, but certainly just not go around or give this person any kind of power.
First and last names of 6 witches that are in our church. And you know what's strange? 3 of you are in this room right now. 3 of you in the room right now. You better look in my eyeballs. We ain't afraid of you, you stinking witch. You devil worshiping Satanist witch. We cast you out in the name of Jesus Christ. We break your spells. We break your curse. We got your first name. We got your last name. We even got an address for one of you.
People like him and that Kenneth Copeland, I think, are honestly possessed. Like, I think that they've got demons in them. I ain't even lying. It's ridiculous.
And
But
for people,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was going to say, for people that might not be familiar, no witch that I know worships Satan. That's
No,
a Satanist,
no.
okay? Satan really doesn't exist in the same form or idea that the Christian Satan exists in. We believe in evil, but just not the embodiment of evil in the same way.
And the whole problem that I've encountered, like when growing up in that environment in the Bible Belt, is that anything that they don't think is of God is of the devil. So anything that they don't understand, supernatural or anything, has to be evil or of the devil. And I, as a kid, I was just like, this doesn't make sense. There's so many other religions and ways of thinking, and if God's real, then why isn't, I believe all this other stuff is real too, and how come they don't understand that can be real too, that sort of idea behind it. And just me being myself and feeling othered and different, even though I wasn't at that time different. It's just like, if you don't conform to their beliefs totally, then you're just outcast. And I don't think that's any way to be. But they're all not, we know not all Christians are like that. And yeah, the witch background, like this group that was in question, they seem to believe that witches all had the same beliefs. I guess because, like I said, if you didn't believe in God, then or that their God the way that they believe in, and that you just believe in the devil. You know what I mean? Saying like everything is evil and of the devil. But they also were connecting like witchcraft to have to do with political affiliation, and we know that's not true. Everyone has different opinions and backgrounds and beliefs, and it's totally just varied. Everybody's different.
Yeah, and I agree, and we don't have to agree with everyone all the time. That's the point, is that we hold our own spiritual beliefs close to us. I tend to be a deist, and it's the same take that some of our founding fathers had about spirituality, and that is, I believe in God. I believe in God. But I also believe that there are other ways to the center, that you are not going to be, ignored or put out of heaven simply because you were born into another religion. And I do think that good works matter, that who you are as a person matters, and what you do with your life, it all matters in the spiritual world.
Yeah, and also wanted to point out that, when stuff like this is happening, don't get in a frenzy to be like, oh, we're being persecuted again. That's not going to happen. We won't allow that to happen, and don't be fearful of these things happening. And like I said, sometimes there is people that are putting fuel on the fire, trying to make people react, and also people just kind of like making stuff up, posting stuff anonymously, making things seem worse than it is. So, but I like the statement that the broom closet, the witch's broom closet made too. They're basically like, we don't live in fear. We just hold to our beliefs and kind of just, ignore what other people are doing and stay in our own lane and just wish everyone the best kind of thing.
And to give them credit, that's kind of what the facilities manager said of the place where they held that. And so, it's live and let live. And it really made me happy to see that, especially after reading what you had sent me and then researching some of it on my own, and then finding that video where, he stood up and said, look, we all have to live together. I thought that was lovely. Do you have anything else before we leave?
I don't suppose so, but yeah, thank you for having me on and talking.
Well, it's our show, so we're going to be doing this.
It's our show.
Our show. We're going to be doing it twice a month, and it is still Pat O'Keefe's World of Curiosities, but this is our new feature, and it is Zeea and Pat's Witchy Wisdom. So until next time, stay curious.